Welcome to proactivephysioknowledge.com. I am Jamin Bhatt, and in this discussion, I am going to tell you about the evidence-based scapular rehabilitation. So let's start with the discussion part. In British Journal of Sports Medicine, Cool et al. Did the study in 2013 regarding the scapular rehabilitation. They make the scapular rehabilitation algorithm. I use this algorithm to give you the guideline regarding the scapular rehabilitation. I divide this algorithm into the four parts: upper part, lower part, as well as left and right side. As you can see on the left hand side, there is a lack of soft tissue flexibility, as well as on the right side, there is a lack of muscles performance. In a soft tissue flexibility, there are scapular muscles as well as the glenohumeral muscles. The pectoralis minor, levator scapular tightness, which can lead to the scapula dyskinesia, as well as if you find the posterior capsule tightness as well as the infraspinatus lack of flexibility, that is also causes the scapular dyskinesia. So on the right side, under lack of muscles performance, there is a muscle control as well as the muscle strength. What do we mean by muscle control? It means that the muscles are good enough to generate the power, but they fails to work in a synchronized manner. Muscle strength means they know how to work together, but not able to bear the load that they supposed to load during the functional task. In the lower part, I summarize the stretching and mobilization as well as neuromuscular coordination and a strength training part. So we start on the left hand side, soft tissue flexibility to gain range of motion. Soft tissue flexibility is necessary to release the soft tissue. There are many techniques that we all know, which varies from manual therapy to dry needling. I want to tell you about the scientific as well as the clinical point of view of the pectoralis minor stretch. If we look into this gold standard of stretching pectoralis minor, this paper gives us an idea. The paper published by Bostad et al. They found that doorway stretch is the best way to stretch the pectoralis minor. This study based on the cadaver as well as the healthy subject. However, from the clinical point of view, many of the patients has a problem in that position. So that's why they came to see us. If you look at this video, when I press the coracoid into the posterior glide during the exhalation, that time you stretch the pectoralis minor muscles. There are another study from the systemic review as well as the meta-analysis. This author conclude that along with the doorway stretch, if you apply the kinesiotape, that gives you a better outcomes in your patients for stretching the pectoralis minor. So now let's talk about the glenohumeral muscles, the posterior capsule as well as the infraspinatus muscles. These three studies gives us an idea about the improvement in the range of motion as well as the improvement in the symptoms. McClure et al. In 2005 did the study on the healthy subjects. They used the sleeper stretch and the cross body stretch for improving in the range of motion. They used the 4 weeks intervention plan. After the 4 weeks of program, they found that there is an advantage on the cross body adduction stretch. As well as in a conclusion, they also said that cross body stretch as well as the sleeper stretch both have a significant amount of improvement in the shoulder pain patients. And by applying this stretch, the patient's symptoms is also improved as well as the range of motion. From another study, Cool et al., they use the manual mobilization along with the stretching program. In their study, they conclude that if you want to improve the patient's outcome, you can add a manual mobilization along with the stretching part. We also know the study from Team Tyler. They also found there is an improvement in the range of motion as well as reduction in the symptoms. They look the overweight athletic population who had a GERD and the impingement symptoms. In results, they conclude that those who have an increasing in the range of motion, they have also decreasing in the symptoms. So from these three studies, we have a question in our mind how this mechanism works. So Manhart study gives us an idea about how this mechanism works. The author did the study on 62 overhead athletic population with the method of digital inclinometer to checking the range of motion, as well as they measure the acromihumeral distance with the ultrasound. They did the intervention plan for the 6 weeks for the sleeper stretch. In a conclusion, they found that after the 6 weeks of sleeper stretch, there is a significant increasing in the abduction range of motion at the different degree. There is an increasing acromihumeral distance at the 0 degree, 45 degree and the 60 degree. As well as they found that there is also an increasing in the range of motion in the internal as well as external rotation. In addition to that, they also mentioned that there is also an increasing in the horizontal adduction. So I conclude from this paper, those who have a loss in rotation component, you can use the sleeper stretch for the 6 weeks of your rehabilitation regime. So in the next part, I will discuss regarding the neuromuscular control as well as the strength training.